Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peterisms, where I tell stories of my life and just little things that I've learned as I've grown into the person that I am today. And I am using this new ring light that my husband bought me. He got it for my birthday, and I hadn't used it until today, and I'm still kind of getting used to it. The other one is like this size, and this one is like huge. And what happened was I was plugging in the other ring light and it just like zapped. Like there was like a little bit of wire that was exposed, and I don't know, it must have like cut in half or something, and it like, it snapped up in my face. I was like, So other than that though, today has been a great day, you know, and got up today, did my prayers, did my meditations. It's beautiful outside in Indianapolis, and I've just been focused on, you know, peace and serenity in my life, and just staying grounded, staying focused in that peace and serenity, which is so important to me today. And these meditations that I do, you know, like this is a really huge part of what gets me there, what gets me recentered. And I've talked a lot about this today, but this is something that, you know, I've really learned in the last year, the last couple years, is to have like a pause button on things, you know, that when I'm like stressed out or something's going on, you know, or I have too many things to do or whatever, that sometimes I'll just sit down, and sometimes it's for 20 seconds, sometimes it's for a minute, sometimes it's for an hour, and I just hit the pause button for a little bit, you know? I don't have to react, I don't have to respond, I don't have to do anything, I don't have to go in the kitchen and do the dishes, I don't have to do anything. I can just sit there, you know, for a minute or 10 minutes and whatever, and just be part of the world. And that pause button has literally saved my life. It's weird that when you take a little bit of time, whenever you get frenzied, like have you ever been running a bunch of errands and you like get frenzied and you're like, I gotta get home and I gotta do this and I gotta do that and then I gotta be out of the door by 7 o'clock. Like Tuesdays are always like that for me, because I, you know, my home group meetings on Tuesdays, and I always feel that way. And what I've learned to do is to sit down for like 5 or 10 minutes and just be like, okay, I'm just gonna hit the pause button. And whenever I do that, like that peace and that serenity that I have lost in that moment, like it starts creeping back in, and I'm reminded of what my life is today. It's not toxic, it's not chaotic, it doesn't have any of that stuff, and I don't want it. I don't have any desire to have that in my life today. And so I'm kind of reminded of that, and then I'm like, okay, so this is what I need to do, this is how I need to handle the situation, I don't need to stress out about it, life's gonna go on, you know? And so, but meditations always help me with that, and sometimes, you know, I have so many of them that I'll just sit down for a second and I'll pull just some random book and I'll be like, okay, speak to me universe, speak to me higher power, and that's what happens. My meditations were all good this morning, so I wanted to pick some that I hadn't read, and I had 4 books over there. And 2 of them really were things that weren't, I don't know, they were all great, but they were just things that I didn't really want to talk in. One was about faith, and I was like, you gotta have faith, right? George Michael said. But, you know, it's like, I could get in this long dissertation about faith and what that means to me, and, you know, that was in the Book of Positive Quotations, and I'm a real big believer that, you know, faith is not just a higher power thing or a spiritual thing. It's like it's in a faith of looking at the past of what has happened and being assured that things are going, you know, to get better in the future. It's like, this too shall pass, you know? You don't have to be a religious or a spiritual person to believe this too shall pass. Things will get better. Things are, you know, it's like, you don't just stay in the same stuff. I mean, when I look back on like the huge tragedies of my life, like when I first got sober and was in treatment, you know, or, you know, like when my mother passed away or my aunt and uncle passed away, it's like those moments I'm not still there. You know, I've grown, like things have gone on and gotten better, you know, breakups that I had, things like that. I'm not still in that space today. And so I have to remind myself of that. And I think faith is a remembrance of the past, of the things that happened, and that they are not that way today. And so, like, that's what faith is for me. You can quote that. I just came up with that. That was pretty good. I think, no, I'm joking. But no, I really did just say that. But that's what I believe, you know, is like, I think faith is like looking back at the things that have happened in our past, knowing that's not where I'm at today, and knowing that things in the future, no matter how bad they are today, are going to be better in the future. You know what I mean? And you just have to have faith in that. Like, and that's not a faith in a spiritual or religious higher power. I probably should just read that damn meditation, shouldn't I? Anyway, let me have a sip of coffee. My coffee is so good today. You know, I get coffee every day, but there are just some days I'm like, I just really am loving my coffee today. I want to go get another one, but I think we all know I don't need another one. So, okay. And then I don't even remember what the other meditation was about. But the 2 I picked today were Healing After Loss, Daily Meditations for Working Through Grief, and Journey to the Heart. And I just kind of skimmed over both of them. So, the first one I skimmed over it deeper, but I mean, this book's all about grief, but I want to read it. August 15th. I am reminded that what I adore, admire, and draw from Mother is inherent in the earth. My mother's spirit can be recalled simply by placing my hands on the black hummus of mountains on the lean sands of desert. Why can I not read this meditation? On the lean sands of desert. Her love, her warmth, and her, I think it's humus, of mountains for the lean sands of desert. This sometimes happens, even in the most peaceful of moments. Okay, let me go back. I am reminded that what I adore, admire, and draw from Mother is inherent in the earth. My mother's spirit can be recalled simply by placing my hands on the black humus. That sounded so funny. Of mountains, the soil is what I think it means. Okay, of the lean sands of desert. Her love, her warmth, and her breath, even her arms around me, are the waves, the wind, the sunlight, and the water. Terry Tempest Williams. I have no idea who that is, okay? What we have lost is not replaceable, is not supplanted by the other manifestations of life around us, no matter how beautiful. Any more than the loss of a child is made up for the birth of another child, and yet, perhaps it can give us some comfort to think about the oneness of creation. The words on a poster our daughter had hung in her room shortly before her death began. The same sun warms us, and went on to say, and we share each other's lives, lingering in each other's shadows. My husband and I framed the poster, and for many years it hung in my writing room, a source of great comfort. Can we, in the air that surrounds us, the sunshine that bathes us with its warm and light, the light that surges in our own being, imagine the inviting presence of our loved one? I think it's an interesting meditation, you know, and I think it's really also talking about faith, you know, and spirituality and spiritual belief. And I learned early in sobriety, somebody said to me, religion, and listen, don't be offended by this, okay, this is just a saying, but that religion is for people that are afraid of going to hell, and spirituality is for people that have already been there. And that's kind of like a 12-step saying, you know? I don't know about that. I don't know what spirituality is for. I've always believed that religion is a set of doctrine and spirituality is a feeling that you have inside your soul about your connectedness to the universe or your higher power or whatnot. That's always what it meant to me. And I had to come up with my own understanding. I do believe this, that had I not been able to come up with my own concept of a higher power, I would not be sitting here today. Had I come into a 12-step program and they forced me to believe some certain kind of, you know, belief system, I wouldn't be here today. So me coming up with my own spiritual concept was so important to me, you know. It was so, it was profound in my journey of being where I'm at today. You know, I don't know what it's like to lose a child. I don't have children. I don't know what that's like, you know. But I can believe that no loss is greater than that. I really, truly believe that, you know. I've had friends of mine that have lost children, and you know, I've talked about this on my vlog. I have a friend of mine that lost both of her sons to heroin overdoses a year apart. And they were in their early 20s. And, you know, one day I said to her, I said, how do you go on? Like, how do you, like, her and her husband, like, they move on. And she dedicates a lot of her time to speaking in treatment programs and sharing her experience and things like that. And I said, how do you move on, you know? And she said, or I didn't say, how do you move on? I said, how do you go on? You know, like, cause you know, I don't like the saying move on, but I said, how do you like go on with your life? Like, I don't get it. Like, what, like, how do you put one foot in front of the other? And it's like, cause I'll never forget the call that I got from her. And, you know, she called me, I'll never forget. This was the second son. I met her right after, like, probably 3 or 6 months after her first son had passed. And then I remember the night that she called me on her second son, and she said he's gone. And she said, I'm not a mom anymore. I said to her one time, I said, how do you guys like go on like with your life? Like, how do you put one foot in front of the other and you just continue to go on with life? And she looked at me and she said, what are my options? You know, they would have wanted us to live a life. And so she goes and she speaks about her experience a lot and what happened to her. You know, I think often about all of the crap that's going on in the world, and I don't think it's any mystery to anybody that I have a channel where I talk about beauty influencer drama. You know, and I get comments on the video all the time, and I love making videos over there, you know I do. And this has kind of just gone off into me talking, I guess, for a second, but you know, I love flipping a fan and having my opinion and doing funny stuff over there and whatever, and doing the drama phone and all that kind of stuff. But, you know, I often get comments on my videos and people will say, in the grand scheme of this thing, in the grand scheme of the world, none of this really matters, and it doesn't. It's just so, I don't know, there's so many things that are going on in the world. There's so much loss, there's so much pain, you know? that in the end, like, it doesn't really matter, you know? And I do that channel. I think people sometimes misunderstand to let somebody have a conversation that needs to get out of their day, or allow somebody to laugh or think differently, or, you know, maybe go, I didn't think about that, or start a conversation with their sister or their friend, you know, about something that's going on that's drama, you know, because maybe it gets them away from their daily problems. But there is so much pain in the world out there, you know, and I think that one thing I've learned in the last couple years is that we have a choice over how we treat people. There have been moments in my life where I haven't treated people in a way that I'm very proud, but I've really worked on that, you know, in the last couple years, and I think about that on a daily basis today. And I think that, you know, it was once said that the common equalizer is a death between all of us. I don't know who said that, and that's not the exact quote. But I also think that the unifying equalizer in life is pain. You know, that the human experience of pain that we all go through with loss or whatever. Because I can tell you in a minute that my mother passed. Anything else that was going on in the world didn't matter. That was the only thing that mattered in that moment, you know? And so I think that I have to be reminded of those situations that I've gone through in my life, and to, yes, remember that things are going to get better, but also to pay homage to my past and to pay homage to the pain and the journey that other people have gone through and that they still go through. You know, like, I live an extremely blessed life. I say it all the time in my videos because I want to be reminded of it, you know? And I say it to my friends, and I say we live blessed lives, you know, and we have blessed lives. We have relationships, we have homes, we have cars, you know? And there are so many people in our country, if you live in the United States, and in obviously other countries around the world that we'll never see or ever hear of, that have it 100,000 times worse than I could ever even imagine in my wildest dream, you know? So, and that's where gratitude comes in. And I think that gratitude sometimes comes in hearing my higher power or the universe speak through other people's stories. So, let's move on from that. Okay. And the next one is from Melody Beatty, Journey to the Heart. Spinning our wheels is part of getting unstuck. When our car gets stuck in the mud or snow, we immediately try to get out. Sometimes we have to spin our, and just so people know, my friend has allowed me to share that story. She was in one of my vlogs one time. She said on the vlog, you can share my story or something like that, I think. Anyway, she's a wonderful woman, and so is her husband. When our car gets stuck in the mud or snow, we immediately try to get out. This is called August 15th. Spinning our wheels is part of getting unstuck. When our car gets stuck in the mud or snow, we immediately try to get out. Sometimes we have to spin our wheels to get a rocking motion. Sometimes we have to try harder, then try again before we can get out. Sometimes spinning our wheels digs us in more deeply. Then in frustration, we let go, relax. Soon we find ourselves doing what we need to get unstuck. We ask for help or figure out another approach. That's how it is on our journey. We may find ourselves in a situation we don't know how to handle. So we start spinning our wheels in frustration, confusion, or fear. What we know is what we want. What we know is we want out. Sometimes we need to get through that time of spinning our wheels in order to get to the next place, the place where we slow down and figure out what to do next. Sometimes our frustration helps generate energy. It's so weird how all of these are kind of connected today, isn't it? Sometimes our frustration helps generate energy to get momentum going in the general direction of solving the problem. Putting forth that energy, gets steam built up, tells us in the universe that we're ready to free ourselves. If you find yourself spinning your wheels, be gentle with yourself. Slow down. Get a nice rocking motion going. One that's rhythmic, yet powerful enough to free you. Then put the car in gear, step on the gas, and gently drive out of the muck. Sometimes we need to spin our wheels. It helps to get unstuck. It helps us get unstuck. And that, I think, is a lot of what I was talking about with the pause button, you know? Is that sometimes you have to sit in the pain. You know, like, the number one piece of advice I give to people when they're like, you know, how did you get through your mom's passing? Like, you know, how did you deal with it? You guys were so close, blah, blah, blah. The thing I always say is, you know, like, I allowed myself to feel my pain. Like, I was really numb for a long time, you guys. Like, I don't even know. Like, I mean, I can remember thinking to myself, I feel like I should miss her more. Like, I feel like I should be more upset. My neighbor is in the back seat. Or the back patio. If they see her, they're going to go crazy. But anyway, you know, I think to myself, like, I would think to myself at the time, I should be more upset. Like, I should be more, you know, like, overwhelmed with emotion and tears. And I was initially, and I was at the funeral, but after that, it was just like, I literally was numb. And then, you know, I came back into the rooms of recovery, and it hit me, you know? Like, it hit me, like, years later, like 4 years later. something like that. And and then when I'd be driving down the street, you know, and Mr. Tambourine Man by Bob Dylan would come on, you know, and I'd just sit on the patio, or I'd sit in the, I'm thinking about that because Tucker's looking over there. You know, I would sit in my car and I would pull over in a parking lot and I would just listen to the song and I would allow myself to cry. And I would allow myself to feel the pain. I would allow myself to be stuck in the pain until I no longer wanted to be stuck in the pain anymore. And I think that's what has to happen. You know, it's like, there's a saying in recovery that people will make changes when they've had enough pain. And I believe that in life, right? Like I really, really do sometimes, but it's not easy, and being stuck isn't easy. And many of you out there that are watching this are like, I feel stuck right now. I don't know what to do. My wheels have been turning for 2 years, you know? Maybe rock it in a different direction, you know? Maybe ask yourself, what part of this am I stuck in? You know, is there anything that I can do to get myself, is there one thing that I can change that I haven't been willing to change, that I could do something different? And maybe that's the thing that you need to change, you know? Maybe that's the rocky motion that you need to put into effect. I always think that treating ourselves a little bit nicer, you know, I talked about this on my vlog last night, that, you know, I'm a big believer in like the RuPaul saying, like, you know, how the hell are you supposed to love yourself, or how the hell are you supposed to love somebody else if you can't love yourself first, or whatever she says. You know, you have to first love yourself before you can love somebody else. And, you know, I believe that. And I believe that treating ourselves a little bit better on a daily basis, you know, working on our self-worth, working on our confidence is ultimately what gets us unstuck in those situations. So anyway, let me know what you thought about those meditations. Those were all over the place, weren't they? I feel like cleansed. I feel like that was really cathartic for me. I needed that today. So anyway, I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.